Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Industrial Faith. Welcome to episode 5 of Factorio 4X, your 15-minute Factorio fix. So, we are working on plastic. Right now I'm laying down more steel, or I'm sorry, no, more iron, because I believe I need more throughput. I'm looking at electric furnaces. What do I need to build them? Electric furnaces are somewhat of a rude surprise. I expected that... well, I didn't think they'd use so much electricity. Boy, they use a lot of electricity. I mean, they're electric furnaces, right? Right. So what I'm going to do is you need iron plate for sulfur dioxide. So that's what I'm doing here. Because you then need sulfur dioxide for making batteries. Because if you know what batteries are, they have their lead and acid. It's weird. But that's what I'm doing here. A lot of running around trying to measure and get things, because I don't want to really walk over. For example, I don't want to run that through the copper patch, because I'm going to be using that later. So here we go, just laying out some electric furnaces. This is way too many. You need probably one, because we're not doing steel, we're just doing iron. So here's some light. There we go. Crank it. It moves pretty quick. They do draw a lot of power, but that's the way it works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build 2 chemical factories. One's going to be, I'm calling it a chemical factory, it's probably the wrong name. One is going to make sulfur. The other is going to make the sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide, yeah. The fluid. I'm making acid. Sulfuric acid, that's what I'm making. Holy moly. Whew, boy. I need to get some coffee. My brain is turned off. So, you only really need one. For a small build like this, you really only need one sulfur plant. You don't really need any more. One thing you do have to be careful when using these chemical plants is that some recipes, the water, certain items must go in certain inputs. So I'm building the tanks as sort of a buffer to create, obviously. Didn't want to go there. So there we go. To make sulfur, you need petroleum gas and water. And to make the sulfuric acid, you need sulfur and iron plate. And essentially what it is, you're dousing the iron plate. Well, that doesn't make sense. Anyways, so now I'm clearing the area because this is where I'm going to make the batteries. And batteries are made in a chemical plant. They are not made in an assembler, which I think is kind of neat. I'm hoping Factorio introduces a couple more buildings. I mean, the game's pretty much big as it is. But the real challenge comes from just the different starts. It's once you get certain things built, it kind of feeds on its own and does what it doesn't need. There's not a whole lot of variation. Your build routine is pretty much the same. I think it'd be interesting if there was a mod that sort of randomized the research, so that way you couldn't pick your own research. It did what it wanted to do, which I think would be interesting. And the reason you lay all this underground pipe is because you don't want to... You cannot walk across pipe the same way you can walk across... I didn't want to move much. You can't walk across pipe the same way you can walk across a conveyor belt. So as you can see here, I realized the copper's running out. Oh my gosh. Not enough copper is a problem. And that's the thing you always find, is you're always ramping up your facilities like this, because there's 2 ways of doing it. You overbuild in the beginning, so you just have tons and tons and tons and tons of it. Or you do what I do, is where you build a couple assembly chains, and then you see, am I matching my resources? And if the answer is you're not matching your resources, then you're not matching your resources. And that's me getting extra stone because I need it for stuff. And I don't recall when I realized that I'm making way too much iron plate. Oh, I wonder what episode it is I have the coal issues, the power issues. There's what's called a death spiral in this game, and that's where you overbuild and you lose power because there's two ways of doing it. The way I've often seen a death spiral start is you use coal too fast. You don't actually have enough machines putting coal into your power system. That's something I'm trying to avoid here. That's what I needed the stone for, to build the boilers. Now, I don't know if there's a rule about the pumps being too close together. I think in one of the later episodes I have issues with water pressure. And I move some of the pumps away from each other and it kind of fixes it, but I don't know if that's actually the case. So there we go. We've got steam manifold, and I'm just cranking them out here. Boom, 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 done. There you go. All right, look at that. Okay, checking my resources. And this is when I start building my copper expansion. More red circuits, more steel. Again, because I'm trying to get away from the coal. Not because of some crazy pollution thing, but because if you're not using coal, that's one less resource you have to manage. And it really makes the supply chain for this guy simpler. There we go. Some light. So I think at this point I realized, oh, I need to do this. Okay, and here's me putting together the various items needed for the to make the batteries, which is copper and iron plate. I'm creating my sulfuric acid manifold. Go me. Now, batteries is something I just can't work on one thing at a time. So, batteries is something that you're always going to be using. It doesn't matter. You'll be using batteries forever. There's so many things that require batteries. And again, I think I'm just extending the plastic because I don't know if I need. So, there we go. Batteries, good to go. Doo-doo. So what I'm doing is I need more room, so I use that, bang, and I use landfill, and there we go. Now the only thing is I'm not able to use that stone deposit, and admittedly I have tons and tons and tons of stone. I don't need to use it, but my other option is to run a big giant line from the stone deposit where we're making landfill, and that's eventually what I do in a later episode. What I'm doing here is I'm debating on whether I should wrap the supply around and make a secondary or what I was going to do is I was going to extend the line out and make more batteries down the line. I realized I could just loop it around, which was So instead of what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the oil line there, which still isn't pumping anything because it's not connected correctly. But yeah. And that's just the way it goes. So there we go, more landfill. This landfill thing is handy. I would have run out of room a long time ago on this island if I didn't have this. And I will move this oil line several times. And just check my connections there. There's some light. There we go. Now this actually works really well because batteries don't get made that fast. This isn't a big deal. I mean, realistically, it's not. That's all you need, and that's plenty of battery power. Here's me building the manifold again. Getting more pipe because, gosh darn it, I'm out of pipe. There we go, it's making batteries. Nice and simple. I'm sure another way you could have done it was to, you could run the iron and the iron plate and the copper on the inside. You could turn them around and do it that way. If you don't like the way the pipes are laid out, you can then run the pipe down. What you do is you split the copper and iron into 2 rows, and excuse me, no matter how you do it, that's my cord. No matter how you do it, you're going to use the same space. It just depends on how it looks. So here I'm building the last bits of the blue science. This should be the inserters. And so this will be the last thing I need to build blue science. And again, there's a patch of copper I'm not going to be able to use. Again, I don't know how long this chain is going to take to build, but typically these, again, moving the oil pipes. So we call this series Factorio, moving the pipes. That's pretty much all I'm doing. And again, this side is connected fine, but there's a connection way over to the east that is incorrectly connected, and so. Yeah, I don't think I discover it until 4 hours from now. So here I'm checking on my stuff. What's going on? And as you can see, it's already made a whole bunch of batteries. It just cranks those batteries out. It's really kind of nice. This is so I can see the pipes. It doesn't help. Yeah. I spend a lot of time looking over. I am baffled and mystified. I just don't get it. So instead, I'm going to keep building my inserters. All right, ladies and gentlemen, looks like we're wrapping it up here. Again, thank you for joining me for our latest episode of Factorio in 4X, your 15-minute Factorio fix. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. You have a, oh, I'm still rolling. So, I can't stop. So thank you, have a good night, and bye-bye.